Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Shay and I am here to help you crack open that Cricut machine and get started. When I first purchased my Cricut machine, I was so excited, and then when it came in the mail, I left it hidden on the floor in the box for a good few months, okay? I was looking online at all of these beautiful projects and tutorials, and I was so overwhelmed. How was I going to do this? I didn't understand how to even set it up and how it all worked. So if you are like me and your Cricut machine is sitting in the box at the bottom of your closet or tucked away somewhere, let's crack it open today and we're going to go through it together. How to set it up, how to design something super simple on Cricut Design Space, and then I'm going to show you a super in-depth step-by-step tutorial on how to make a decal. So for that portion of the video, we are going to be making a decal for our Cricut machine. I have the Cricut Explore Air 2 currently. Any Cricut machine you have works great, so I will give you different options and different steps depending on which machine you might have. So this is the Cricut Explore Air 2. I know, beautiful, yes. So I will be showing you how to set up your Cricut machine to get it started if you just cracked it open from the box. Now, for the purposes of this video, maybe you already opened and set up your Cricut machine and you just want to get crafting. I will make sure to leave the timestamps down below, so they'll be right down here on a little bit of a bar you'll see. And then also in the description, it will break down exactly what part of the video is where. So if you want to know how to set up your Cricut machine, that will be right there. Maybe you want to know how to do your design on Cricut Design Space and set that all up. Or if you just want to jump to the tutorial towards the end of the video. So whether you want to watch the whole thing through and through or just jump to the next step, whatever works best for you. I was getting a lot of comments on many of my videos from people saying they were overwhelmed, intimidated, and haven't even opened their Cricut yet. And I know exactly what you mean. It can be really intimidating at first, but I promise once you get started and figure out how to use it, you will not want to stop. It's been a good 4 or 5 years and I'm still going strong. So I am here today to help you with that. Alrighty, I think I've chatted off your head enough. So we're going to get started on how to set up your Cricut machine. Now, if you are feeling super overwhelmed and intimidated, grab yourself maybe a tea, a coffee, whatever beverage of choice that helps you, you know, get in the nice calm mood. Also some snacks. My husband is currently on a snack run because he knows this crafty girl needs snacks. I'm going to bring you a little closer, so come on, don't be shy. I don't always bite. Yes, I already spilled my tea. We're just gonna ignore that and keep moving. So here we have the Cricut Explore Air 2 just out of the box. So you will notice some differences. If you have a different machine, you might not have this little toggle here, and this is just here for you to set your materials with your Cricut machine, but you can actually do this directly on the Cricut Design Space software on your computer or tablet, whatever you're using. So not to worry if your machine looks a little different than mine, we will go through it. I do have a video specifically for Cricut Explore Air 2 and the basics on setting it up. So I will link that right up here for you, and you can easily find that if you wanted to jump to that first, because you might have the same one as I do. What we're going to start off with first is open it up. So I have this little open button, and I'm telling you that because for the longest time I didn't know that was there, and I was popping it open, probably breaking it. So we're going to press the open button. Isn't she beautiful? Okay, so a couple things that I want to just start right off with is these are here, which are awesome because for the longest time I didn't know that these were here, so I store my tools in there. Extra blades. You can also store your tools up here. Okay, now here you will see two little ports, I call them. There's port A and port B. So this one is where your blade is going to go. Okay, we have the blade right here, so we just pop it in like this, clamp it down, you're good to go. This one here is actually for the pen. So if you are doing any drawing or something, maybe for a card, if you're into scrapbooking or things like that, you can actually just take the pen and it pops in there. Now you don't use this for every project. Well, maybe you do, but I sure don't. So just going to store that away. Also, you don't want to leave it plugged in here because your pen will dry out. So that's what this one is for. Okay, we've kind of gone over that. Now we're going to talk about how to actually plug in and turn on your Cricut machine. So I'm just going to close it back up just so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to flip this beautiful baby around. Okay, so we have two little cord port thingies. I don't know the technical term for it, plugins, whatever. Okay, so we're going to grab our first cord here. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I know it's a little bit blurry, but it kind of looks like a capital D. So we're going to match it. I'm even doing this without looking, surprisingly. And then on the other end of that is a little USB plug-in. So I'm going to actually plug this directly into my laptop computer. You can also use a tablet, your phone, things like that, but for the purposes of today's video, I will be using my laptop. Now, my computer and my Cricut machine are connected, but it's not gonna turn on because the power cable isn't there yet. So we have this really chunky box, kind of laptop looking cable. It's very long. Okay, so we have, ooh, hello. So this one is a little circle one, and I'm just going to put it right next to it in here. Ugh. The only way I know which one goes where is by just looking at the shapes. So now that that is all plugged in, the other end of it, depending what country you live in, so if you're in North America like me, your plug will look something like this. If you're in the UK, I'm sure it will be the different plugs that you have there. Anyways, this is the plug that goes into your wall outlet, okay, for the electricity. So if you do not live in North America and you're wondering what the heck this is, that's what it is. Okay, so we're gonna just plug this directly into our wall now. I flip my Cricut machine back around so the cords are right back here. This way you can see, and now we're just going to press the on button here. So you'll hear it do its thing. The beautiful purr of the Cricut machine. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna just pop it open. And now we are ready to create our decal on Cricut Design Space and get cutting. So now your Cricut machine is good to go. The next step, if you have just started out, you put your blade in, you plugged it in, it's on and open. The real next step is to download Cricut Design Space onto whatever device you're using. So if you haven't done that yet, I will show you how to do that right here. And if you already have that step done, you can skip on over to the timestamp. Right down here on the video, there is the bottom little bar here, and it will show you the timestamps to jump to. So if you want to skip the downloading Cricut Design Space and want to just skip right over to how to actually create the decal on Cricut Design Space, then go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're going to jump on over to this next step. So I'm going to share my screen with you now and show you a little bit of that part of it. Wonderful. So the first thing you're going to want to do to download Cricut Design Space on your computer or laptop is to open up your web browser. So I use Google Chrome, whatever you use works great. Just type in Cricut Design Space, and then it's going to send you to all of these different websites, whatever. Just press on the one that says, at this point in time, it says design.cricut.com. So that's the one we're going to press on. Now that we've opened up this website, we're just going to select the box that says I agree to Cricut terms of use and privacy policy. You might want to go ahead and make sure you read that first before you check it off, because that's on you. Otherwise, you can just continue. So check that box, and then the download button will then show up. So you can just press download. Now I've already downloaded it, so I can just kind of jump on over to opening it up, but it would either pop up on your desktop on your computer once it's downloaded and installed, or if you cannot find it, check your downloads folder on your computer. It might be there. I do want to mention I am using a Windows computer, so if you are using an Apple product, it might look a little bit different than mine, but you still just want to make sure it's downloaded and installed, and then you can open it up. If this is your first time opening up Cricut Design Space, it will look a little different than mine because you will have to set up your account with an email, I believe, or a username and then a password. Now there are a couple options. One, you can use the totally free option. That is what I do. I don't pay to use Cricut Design Space. And then there is a membership that you can pay, so it's a monthly fee that you pay. And think of it kind of like Netflix, but for cut files and fonts. So you get access to different cut files and fonts that you can use for free, and then you just pay that monthly membership fee. Whereas for me, I use the free version, but if I wanted to purchase one of these files, for example, let's say I want to purchase this one, I would need to pay the 99 cents. And I mean, that could add up quickly if I'm purchasing many of them. So you kind of have to decide what works best for you. I'm going to be honest with you, I have never once purchased anything off of here. I just create my own. It's super easy. I am not very tech savvy and I can do it. I made all of these projects right here myself. I have tutorials on my channel on how I did most of these, so feel free to check out my playlists and other videos on my channel if you want to know how to make some of these. But it's really easy. Don't worry, you do not have to pay for the membership but if you do want to pay for the membership, that is awesome. You get access to so many different cut files and fonts if you're not interested in designing your own. So that's definitely an option for you if you know you're just wanting to craft and use things that are already made. Like let's say I wanted to cut out this, for example. Now that we've kind of gone over here, this is your homepage. So when you first log in, it's what it's going to look like. Right here we have the breakdown for you to select which Cricut machine you have. So I have the Cricut Explore family because I use the Cricut Explore Air 2. Feel free to select whichever machine that you are using. Now, let's say a week from now or something, you want to refer back to a project that you have saved today or a previous day. You're going to press on My Projects here, and you're able to find all of your saved projects all down here. So these are the ones I've saved over the many years that I wanted to keep. Okay, so that's where you can find that. We're going to go back to the home page. Now we are back in the home page. So I'm going to go to a new project. Wonderful. So this is the part of the video today that we are going to start designing our decal that we are going to add to our Cricut machine today, just to spruce it up a bit. I feel like that's a really great option for a first project if you are a beginner with your Cricut. It introduces you to working with Cricut Design Space, how the machine works to cut things out, weighting, and just really simply showing you how to do everything. You don't have to buy any t-shirts or mugs or anything. You can just add it to your Cricut machine. I feel like it's a really common thing that people with Cricut machines like to decorate them. So we're just going to make a very simple decal. Cricut Design Space can definitely look overwhelming because you have this whole left panel and then you have this top panel up here with all of these different buttons. What do these all mean? Then eventually you have this right panel light up with all of these different options, and then this fills up and it can just look super overwhelming. I totally get that. So for the purposes of today's video, I am not going to try to explain every single one of these because I feel like that would be super overwhelming for you, and that's the opposite of what we're trying to do. My goal today is to show you that it's not as scary as it seems, and I promise you are going to love it once you get going. So I think today I'm going to start with the text box. So what we're going to do is write just a simple text. So I'm going to press text right here on the left-hand panel. And I'm going to write my channel name, Trebuchet. Okay, I'm gonna move it down and make it a little bit bigger so you can see. Now, if you want to zoom in or out, you can just press here and it will just zoom in or out. Something I do want to mention is the numbers here that, oh, where did that go? Okay. Something I do want to mention are the numbers here that you're seeing. This is kind of to mimic the mat. So you, I would say most likely would have a 12 by 12 mat if you have the standard grip green mat, for example. If you have a larger mat, you know, it kind of just goes. But essentially, you don't want your project to be bigger than, look, okay? Right now, this is too big. This is 17 inches. My mat would only go to here, so it actually will not let me cut this out. If I go to make it, it will not let me cut this out. You would need a 12 by 24 mat. See, it's giving me this alert. I'm going to need a larger mat. So that's kind of the great thing about it, is it would let you know if you make it too large, because sometimes it's hard to tell. But that's what those numbers on the sides are. It's for your measurements, and that way you can measure and almost mimic the mat. Okay, so now we have our font. Again, I'm just sizing it so you can kind of see what I'm doing. We're going to select it and then go here under font. There's a little drop down. Now here under the all, this is the one it automatically goes to. These are all of the fonts that Cricut Design Space automatically kind of has available for you to purchase. So here you see the number of the price, like $4.99, some of them are $6.99, and some of them are free. So the easiest way to get the free options, because your girl here is not about to spend random money on just a font, just my own personal, preference. So you can press on System, and this is going to show you all of the free fonts in Cricut Design Space that are automatically on here. So there's a lot. I know it can be a lot to go through, and there are definitely hacks that I will share in a totally different video, because again, I don't want to give you too much information overload, but there are ways to kind of break this down and just find ones that would look the best with the word you're trying to type out, because it's kind of hard to tell what it would look like, the word that I'm typing, just from here. For example, press on this one. See what I mean? Also, it typically, some fonts are a lot larger, so I go in and have to resize it. That was actually a great example just to show you. So I'm going to go back in because I do not like that font for my project. Now there are ways to download free fonts or pay for fonts online. There are a lot of different websites you can use, and again, I have mentioned that in a different video, so I won't go through that again today, but there are options for you. For today, we're making it super simple, and we are just going to use what is on Cricut Design Space already. So I am going to find a font that I like. It's kind of hard to find a font that I like. I just kind of play around with it a little bit and select different options. So you go ahead and choose whichever font you like. Just keep kind of, and as you can see, the font really changes in size depending on what you press. So you can go in and resize that if you need to. While I'm selecting a font, okay. So I'm just going to actually go ahead, select a font, and then I'll come back to you once I choose the font, because it might take, actually, I think I like this. I like this font. We're gonna go with this one. So I'm using this font here if you are interested in which font I'm using. So you can unlock this and pull it down, size it a bit. I tend to like my letters to be a little bit longer. Perfect. So that looks good for what I'm going for. Now, the next thing, let's say I want to cut out a simple shape. Can you go, we can press on this shapes button right here, and they have these basic shapes for you. These are free to use. Down here it gives you some options with your subscription if you pay for the membership. But we're gonna just use a simple kind of shape here. You could do like a little heart shape. I'm just going to change it a little bit. Twist it around. You could do a little heart shape or something. So that's just an example. I don't personally want to do a shape, so I'm just going to leave it at that, but that's there. Now, if you want to upload your own, let's say you downloaded a file that you want to cut out on your Cricut machine, you could just go to upload here, and I do have a step-by-step tutorial on how to do that. These are ones that I've personally uploaded myself, but I do explain in a few other videos how to do that. It's a little bit more, I wouldn't say advanced, but for this video we're just going to keep it super simple, and I'm just going to put my name on it. If you do want to know how to take a file, they're called SVGs, for example, or a cut file from the internet, download it to your computer, upload it into Cricut Design Space, and then cut that out. Like if you want to know how to do that, because I'm sure at some point in your crafting journey you will, you know, find that useful, because for example, I use that pretty much every day. So I can definitely do a step-by-step tutorial on that. But again, I'm trying to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below if you would like that and are interested in that, and that can be my next video I film for you. Also, if you need clarification on anything I'm talking about in this video, or just any project you're working on and you need some help, feel free to comment down below. I am happy to give you any help or advice that I might have to make sure this size is going to match my Cricut machine. So I'm going to take a ruler and just measure the part of the machine that I am wanting to add my decal to. So for this part, I'm going to make it decently large because I wanted to cover a good part of it. So we're going to do it like that. Here we have the decal that I am wanting to cut out for my Cricut machine. The next step here is to go and make it. So we're going to press this green make it button. So the next step is I'm making sure that my Cricut machine is plugged in with the USB, and it is. All of my cords are plugged in, so that is perfect. Now this right here screen is showing you the digital version of what your mat in front of you that you have your vinyl that you're adding to would look like. So now, before we continue, let's hop on over to what's going to be happening on our Cricut machine before we actually go and press continue on Cricut Design Space. Now we have hopped on over to this side. So as I was mentioning, I measured because this is the part I'm going to be adding my decal to. You could add it here. For today's tutorial, I am using the Cricut brand vinyl. This is the core sampler pack. I feel like this is a really great option if you just are starting out, because it comes with, for example, this one comes with black, white, and gray vinyl, and then a little bit of transfer tape. So it's kind of a nice little pack. If you're just starting out with your Cricut, you have pretty much everything you need to do your project right here, which is awesome. I am not affiliated with Cricut in any way. That would be awesome though. Cricut, feel free to sponsor me. But this is just my, genuine thought and opinion. I was kindly gifted this core sampler pack from a family member, so I decided to show it in today's video because I think it is a really great idea for any beginners. Now this one is permanent adhesive vinyl. There are a couple different types of vinyl, so things like heat transfer vinyl. I believe you have removable vinyl and things like that, but I love to work with permanent vinyl for my projects so I don't have to seal it and worry about it peeling up. So now that we've talked about what I'm using for that part of my decal, another thing you're going to need is your Cricut mat. This decal I added because I always lose this top clear sheet because it's transparent and it blends in, so I put I'm here because there it is. I can find it easily now. Anyways, really all the materials you will need to add a decal to your Cricut machine will be some vinyl. Like I said, I'm using permanent vinyl. Any brand of vinyl works. I'm just using Cricut. I normally pick up my vinyl from Michael's, or you can find it on Amazon and things like that. We have our Cricut mat, our Cricut machine, and these are the 3 Cricut tools I am choosing to use for today's video. So I have my scissors, my little weeding tool, and then what I call my little scraper. So this is what we're gonna go with. Let's hop on over to setting up our mat and our vinyl and getting ready to cut out our decal and create our project. The next step is putting our vinyl onto our mat. With the vinyl that you purchase, there are 2 kind of parts. The top part here, which is the black, is the actual vinyl. And then at the back, you can see this white kind of paper. This is just what's holding the vinyl on it so we can actually cut it out. So I'm going to line it up as best as I can. So try to line it up as best as you can with the straight line at the top here and to the side. I do apologize, I have the light reflecting here, so that's not part of the vinyl. Let me try to tilt it. So now I'm going in with my little scraper tool, and I'm just making sure that there aren't any air bubbles, and if there are, I'm just pushing them out and making sure my vinyl is stuck on there really well. If this is a new mat for you, it should stick on there pretty good because they're pretty sticky. And if you stick it down and it's not you know, in line with it, it's crooked, you can actually just easily pull it up gently and then stick it back down. So it's not a big deal if it, you know, gets stuck a little bit and you mess it up, don't worry. Because it is a vinyl roll, I have this kind of little tail at the end here. I'm just going to let that hang. Don't worry too much about it. As long as your vinyl is stuck on the sticky part of the mat, you're good. So now we're ready to prepare our Cricut machine and Cricut Design Space to cut. Okay, I am so excited for this part. So on Cricut Design Space, I'm going to press continue. The next step is setting your materials, and there are a couple of ways depending on which machine you have. I would turn it all the way to vinyl and then I would be good to go and cut it out. Since I'm wanting to show you how to manually set your materials on Cricut Design Space, if you have this toggle, make sure it is set to custom. If you do not have one of these little material dials on your machine, don't worry about this step. We're gonna hop right on over to Cricut Design Space. So the other way, and probably the best practice, would be to set your materials manually on Cricut Design Space. So what you're going to do is press Browse All Materials, and then you could either just scroll and, you know, find whichever material you're using, or you can use the search function. Now it can be really specific, which can be a little bit frustrating sometimes trying to figure it out, but sometimes it's easy to just type in vinyl and then you can just kind of search. So for today, we are going to select premium vinyl. We're just using some permanent vinyl today. Now that we have set our materials, whether you've done it with the little dial here or manually on Cricut Design Space, your machine is going to start flashing at you. This is telling you to load the machine. So we are going to take our mat here, and you can see there are these two little kind of, I guess, guides or bumpers, I'll call them, that you want to guide, oh, let's call them guides, that makes sense. You want to guide your mat into and inside of them. So we're going to line it up. Don't like force it in, just line it up to where it can't go anymore. I'm not pushing hard, I'm just lightly placing it. Then we're going to press this button, the flashing one, and the machine pulls it in. These little wheels turn and it kind of sucks it in a little bit, pulls it in. You will see this part that holds the blade is going to move. Perfect. Now we can see that the Cricut light is flashing. So I'm going to press that and it's going to start cutting. That's all I do. You can let go of your mat. You don't need to hold on to anything. So once it's done, you will, number one, see on your computer screen that that little dial now says 100%, that it's cut, and you can unload your mat. This light will also be flashing. So this is the load and unload arrow. So you can hold your mat, support it with your hand, unload, and there we go. Now that we've unloaded our mat, flip over your mat and pull your mat away from the vinyl. It's really bendy, don't worry. Do it slowly. Can move this mat off to the side for now. So it's hard to see because it is, you know, the black piece of vinyl, but my decal is on there. So I'm going to very carefully just cut the decal like kind of around it. That way I can save the rest of my vinyl for another project. Okay. So this is still usable. I'm going to cut the end here that isn't used also because I reuse my scraps for many projects. Vinyl can be expensive, you don't want to waste it. Okay. So now I'm going to put my decal back onto my mat. The reason for this is we're going to go in and weed it now. So if you don't know what weeding is, it is essentially removing the part of the vinyl that you do not want on your decal. So kind of removing the negative vinyl. For example, the inside part of the letter A, the background of your decal. So using this sharp little tool, you're able to just kind of hook under and pull. Now you will want to do this very slowly, and if part of your decal does come up, you can just push it back down with your fingers or with your tool, and then go ahead and start weeding again. There we go. Okay, so now we're just going to, again, weed out the parts of the letters that we don't want. So the middle of the E, the B, and then the E here. Okay, so that's what weeding is, just removing the negative vinyl that you do not want on your decal. So this is the part that I'm going to be adding to my Cricut machine. So what you're going to need to do this is called transfer tape. Any brand of transfer tape you want to use works. So what I'm going to do is measure it out to fit my decal. So about there. Okay. It's kind of the similar thing where you have the actual transfer tape, which is, in this case, the Cricut one has the little print and writing on it, and then you have this white background. So you're going to remove the white kind of papery background, and the part that looks like actual tape, like Scotch tape, is what you want. So we're going to put this over top. We're going to place this over top of our decal. Okay, so there we go. Now I didn't mention this, but when I do my weeding and my transfer tape and everything, I just stick it onto the mat, the decal onto the mat, and do it, because this way I don't have to hold the decal in place. It's not moving around. It's stuck down with the mat. So it makes things a lot easier for me personally, but you don't have to stick it onto the mat to do the weeding and everything. So make sure it's on there. Then you just are going to, the next step is to pull up this clear piece, and it's going to start pulling up your decal. So if your decal is, let's say you're pulling this and your decal is still a little bit stuck to the white part, it's going to start pulling apart. Just push this transfer tape back down, and then you can either go in and use your little scraper or your finger to put pressure again and like almost rub over it to get it to stick to the transfer tape. So that's the importance of it. Okay, so now it's up. This is where I'm going to be putting my decal. Wherever you're placing it, whether it's on your Cricut machine, a cup, a shirt, anything, you want to make sure it's a clean surface. So you can go in with a cloth, give it a good wipe down. It's dry, we're good to go. Just make sure it's a clean surface, because if you are having, let's say, a piece of hair or lint or a crumb under here, it's going to affect the vinyl and how it lasts and how it looks as well. So definitely make sure you wipe it down first, which I did off camera. Now this is the decal on the transfer tape. It kind of looks like a sticker right now. We're just going to put it down. So it's kind of tricky for me to do backwards here, but I'm going to do my best. Carefully place it down. Okay. Now, we have the transfer tape and the decal down. You could use your little scraper tool to kind of gently, not pushing down on the actual machine, for example, but gently just adhering the vinyl. I like to just use my hand and my fingers because I can kind of go around each part of the letter, really get it on there good. Okay, and then now we're going to pull up the clear transfer tape. So again, super slowly start pulling, And if any parts start coming up, similar thing to when we were doing the transfer, you can just push it back down and with your finger go over it, or with your little scraper tool. Don't worry, not a big deal. So the key is to go slow. That way, if anything starts coming up, just push it back down. And, you know, this way you're not ripping it if you're going quick. As if you went quick, it would just rip it, and that would not be fun. Okay. Here's our decal, and that's really it. You don't need to go in and seal it with anything. You don't need to add anything on top if you don't want to. This is good, and this will just last. You just want to make sure you're not going in and like scraping on it or anything. I had a decal on here for over 5 years, and I just removed it today so I could film this video and show you how to make a decal for your Cricut machine. But I had to go in and really scrape it off to try to get it off. So you don't need to seal it. It's good to go. There is your decal. Again, I showed you how to do it on your Cricut machine just as an example, but you could do this on a mug. You could do it on, I don't know, furniture in your house, the wall, if you want to do a cute wall decal for decor, or maybe for a child's bedroom. So you definitely have options. I have so many tutorials on my channel, so please feel free to check out any of those tutorials or playlists. If you are a beginner with your Cricut, I have a lot of beginner friendly tutorials with different steps on how to use Cricut Design Space, where I break it down and make it just less overwhelming for you. Hopefully now you are feeling a little less intimidated. I'm really hoping I helped somebody just feel like they can actually do this, because I promise you, you can. Like I said, I am very much not tech savvy, and I am able to do this. If you are still feeling overwhelmed or intimidated, completely understandable. Please feel free to comment down below if you need any help, clarification with anything, or more into depth. Like I said, I will definitely film a video on how to download a cut file from the internet and then upload it into Cricut Design Space so that you can make your own little decal that you either purchased off of, let's say, Etsy, or you found it for free on Pinterest or one of those websites where you can download free cut files. So there are definitely options for you. Today we went super simple with just a cute little font and a saying. I feel like people just really like to decorate their Cricut. I think the most common is people adding things in here. So they'll add, let's say, like the little Cricut mascot, the little thing with the ears, if you've seen that. People will like add that on here, and just cute things like that. Any feedback you have on how I can help explain things a little bit better or show things better, I'm here to help you. That's my point of doing all of these videos. So any feedback you have is great, whether it is a pro or a con to the way that I'm doing it, because it's just going to only help me to create better content to help you, if that makes sense. So I do want to thank you for spending your time with me today and getting crafting with me today. I promise you can do this too. I'm really hoping that I just eased a little bit of that intimidation or overwhelming feeling, and I'm hoping that you at least open the box and set up your Cricut machine. If not, that's okay if you need a little bit more time, but you can do it. I know you can. So let's get crafty and get creative. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, crafters.